Wanderers session. That would be Sandra and Yasuhiko.
Says, where's your shared window? Okay. There it is.
I was getting lost between my shared windows and my Microsoft Teams windows yesterday.
Yeah, crazy. It really is crazy. And thank goodness we have a tabbed interface to help us with our brain structure and our flow of information. So I'm going to go ahead and switch on to presentation mode. However, I will be moving back and forth between different browsers as well as different parts of OneDrive so that I can effectively show you how I currently use all of the Microsoft Office, or now they just call them Microsoft 365 tools. In a higher education setting, I'll also give you some suggestions on how you can use them in K-12 education. So here we go. And I believe the red light is on, so we are recording. So welcome, bienvenue, bonjour, hola, konnichiwa, buongiorno. We are in a global society, and one of the beautiful things about being able to work in a global society is to share and work collaboratively. Many of our faculty friends across the world are now collaborating from home more now than ever before. And using collaborative tools in Microsoft 365 is one way of opening those doors and making it more collaborative and more collective think rather than just working in silos. So we're going to dive deeper into Microsoft OneDrive. We're going to talk about Office 365. I'll show you a couple of examples of OneNote. We're going to always be talking about the interoperability, that's your word of the week. Interoperability between Office apps, where those apps live, where those files live, and be prepared to be swayed. We're just going to do a real short demonstration of sway and make sure that you have your tour de Microsoft. So higher education faculty and teacher education candidates, and I will also, if you are K-12, I'll also try and flip back and forth. We'll learn the ins and outs, and there are a lot of outs, unfortunately, of working with Microsoft 365 for file sharing, for naming documents, for moving, for downloading, for uploading, for sharing, and linking. What is Microsoft 365? It's a productivity suite that lives in the cloud. But one of the biggest benefits for Microsoft 365 is that there is a desktop version of everything. And that really makes it so robust. And the ability to be working on your desktop and have it sync up to a cloud-based version of your work is just the beauty of being able to work in this environment. Sometimes you don't know when you're syncing, but as you continue to learn how to use these tools and sync back and forth between a desktop app and a cloud app, it really becomes a very, it helps with workflow and really allows you a lot of flexibility and hopefully will help eliminate some of the confusion, the chaos. It has device management built in and advanced security. And there is a video here if you would like to take a look at that later. Okay, so some of the accessibility features in terms of how you share folders and files and how you manage access can be a little tricky. And I can only allow specific people or groups in a particular domain. I can give access and manage access to anyone who is in my domain. I can allow access for individuals, and I can have them be allowed to edit. They can only review and look at it, the asset only, and I would just click on the open review or allow the checkbox for editing. Also, you can in real time send an email to a specific person and say, hey, I'm working on this document right now. Here's the direct link, and that will show up in your Outlook account. And I can add the message, and I usually do that because I want people to know when a file is ready for prime time, when they can go in and look at the first draft or the second draft or the third draft. And so that sharing aspect is really a fantastic tool. But once again, you know, when you have that management power of providing who has the access and who doesn't, sometimes if you're newly working in this system, you will forget to go in and manage the access, and people won't be able to access the file. So that's just that's one of the outs that can be the in. So what do we know about MS Office? Well, I have a lot of QA questions and you know, wonderings about how this 365 particularly works. And my colleagues at National University, we came onto this system about 4 years ago. And we were using what's called SharePoint, which is a really great tool. It's an easy to spin website tool that many of our administration folks were using to communicate and to upload documents. So it was just a place for document sharing and also to create just some really brief web pages with links in it. So in the chat area, please tell us what you know about MS Office or specifically MS 365. And Stephen, since I cannot see the chat because my screen is completely taken up by my presentation,
I had that experience yesterday.
Do we have a participation out there?
There are many people out here from Croatia, actually.
Oh,
they were sharing.
Welcome.
Sandra's in charge of a project in Croatia where they're doing webinars on educational technology. They've been doing these throughout the year. And many people have joined our session since we started. And I'm just filling in the 10-second gap to see if they would be willing to type responses about what they know about MS Office.
Okay.
Or they could unmute themselves and just let us know.
Absolutely.
Either way.
Either way. We'll give you a couple minutes to respond. Amazing that this is going through the airwaves.
Yes.
When you think about it, it's just pure magic.
One participant said that she is from Macedonia.
Oh, Macedonia. Okay.
Her name is Violetta. I'm learning how to pronounce Croatian and names as I go along here.
Well, somebody should at least take the mic and say hello in Croatian.
Oh, yes. What would that sound like?
I'd love to hear it. Yes. Maybe they're being a little shy. What time is it there?
8, 9 hours ahead? I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Germany is 8 hours ahead, so I'm imagining they might be 10.
Something like that, yeah.
We keep asking all these questions and our Croatian friends are just not answering us.
Okay.
Hey, there's one. So Ladisha says, we in Croatia use Office 365 for school, teacher, and students also, and they integrate Sway, OneNote, and all the good stuff in Teams, etc.
Wonderful, fantastic. So this is just a tour. So you may not be learning anything new, but if you'd like to add to the conversation, I would love for you to either take the mic or let us just power through here. Okay, is this the same as Microsoft 365 Online? Yes and no. I'm sure that you know that the desktop application, there are some more editing features that are alive and well in the desktop version that aren't as accessible in the online version. So that's just one of the pitfalls, one of the outs that and I found when I'm editing and I'm using the desktop version, that really is the best practice, the best way to use the document, and then syncing it to the online version. How does it work? Well, we talked about a couple minutes ago that there is a cloud-based version, and it's directly linked and interoperable with your desktop version. Can you download or upload your files? Yes and yes. One of the great things about using the cloud version, I'm going to call it online version as opposed to desktop version, is that I can download the application in an ODT file, in a PDF, or in a native Microsoft format. So it would be a docx, it would be a PowerPoint, it would be a PPTX, and that is really a really great thing, because if people don't have access to the cloud version, you can at least go ahead and, if you have to, email instead of saving the cloud version of it. Is it saved automatically? Yes and yes. So when you are working, and Microsoft instituted this quite a while ago, and that is that there's auto save. Auto save is a feature that you must have turned on. It's a default in the system, so you can always check it if someone is saying, you know, I'm working in Microsoft in the documents, and it doesn't seem like it's saving. It should be defaulted in the system, and it should auto save. The other automatic feature is if you are working in the online mode simultaneously and you have it synced. How is it interoperable? Interoperable means that you can save in different formats. Yes, you can also upload, download, and the files will be converted. You can take a document and turn it into a different formatted document. And just know that the way that Microsoft, all of their products are in most cases interoperable, where they all can be accessed through the other one. There are places that you can insert in all of these different apps, and it will look for a OneNote. It will look for different app formats. If you know how to use Google Suite, do you know how to use Microsoft 365? What do you think? I would think that a lot of these skills and attributes, a lot of these practices are transferable, meaning if you are a Microsoft 365 user and you work with either the G Suite or even other online collaborative tools, you probably will be able to move in and out of those applications quite fluidly, but there are nuances to each of them. And I think the biggest issue is managing the access. That seems to be, and I'm going to use an American word, persnickety. That's kind of just one of those things that are kind of odd about making sure that when you're working in an online environment that you look at the settings and who can access that document and who can access that account and who can access that domain area. Is it free? Yes and no. I'm not sure what my institution pays for the full service because we have unlimited storage space. And that's one of the great things when you're working in a school environment or an academic environment, because you want your students, you want your learners to be able to store their information and be able to access that information. Many of our educational institutions in the US have one-to-one devices now, especially after March 1st with our pandemic, making sure that each student has a technology, either a Chromebook or a low-cost device that they can access the internet through. And all of the cloud applications are generally free, but when you start to work in an academic environment or an institutional environment, there are some costs associated with some of the features, and I'm not privy to that. I don't know about all those costs. Okay, so we're going to talk about OneDrive. OneDrive is the storage place for all of your Microsoft Office or your Microsoft 365 documents. It is the hub. It is the main holder. You no longer need to have Dropbox. You no longer need to have any other storage device because the storage is fantastic. There aren't a lot of limitations. And, you know, perhaps Kathy or someone else who is on the call today, on the webinar today, can tell us, you know, what the storage capacity is. But my particular domain, it's unlimited. I don't have to go through and empty my mailbox all the time, but I should. That should be a best practice. But I do, you know, periodically go through and using Outlook, you know, I do empty that on a regular basis to make sure I haven't missed any email. But it is a wonderful place for storage. And once again, it's almost like the windows to your soul, because if you don't have it organized and you are sharing it with other people, beware, because they're going to be able to see that you're kind of you get cluttered a little bit. All right, so here is, and I am showing some live documents, although this is part of the slide, and I am using the PowerPoint slide. This is what my Office 365 interface looks like. And you can see that in the top right-hand corner, it does say Install Office, and I have installed it. I am accessing this through a MacBook Pro at the moment, but I am bilingual. I speak both Mac and I speak Windows as well. So here is my choices. There are other applications, and they're adding apps all the time. Many of them are very business oriented. So those of you who work in high schools, do check out some of those apps, because they are really very powerful that are being used in business and industry across the world. They have been used predominantly as a worldwide application. The snapshot shows that I have a couple of different apps that I've worked on, documents that I've worked on. Going from left to right, I have a PowerPoint presentation. I have a objective map, and And then I also have a group project I'm working on, which is a spreadsheet in Microsoft Excel online. And my domain is coming up as sharepoint.com, and that's just the way my OneDrive is noted. Yours might be identified differently, but it's natuniversity -my.sharepoint.com. And then finally, I have another document that is a universal document that we are working on in teams. Every single one of the documents I'm sharing with you in this slide are collaborative documents. That is, I'm working in a team approach, and they are co-editing along the way. One of the things about the ability to co-edit, and people always say, well, you know, I thought I edited this document, but I really, you know, it was a mistake because it's auto-saved. Can I go back and look at my history? Yes, you can. So not to worry, you can go in and look at different versions of the collaborative work. Here are all of the 365. Don't want to say all, but let's just look at this. Bookings is also the same as Find Time. You don't have to do a sign up genius or a special calendar invite if you want to post a couple of different times for participants. A class notebook I'm starting to use as a collaborative tool for building notebooks, like physical notebooks, but they're actually a digital notebook. Forms is the fancy version of Excel, but you can use it. You no longer need to use SurveyMonkey or some of these third-party tools that are charged to create surveys, quizzes, and polls. Analytics is a great tool to do some data analysis of usage. There is Sway that you know about, which is a little different than the PowerPoint team. And then also Teams, which I am using Teams now for my chats as opposed to Yammer. Yammer is more of a local institutional channel that we are using in our library. Actually, our library media folks, they manage our Yammer. And then there's a collaborative whiteboard, and then all the different features that help with calendaring and to do. And there are a couple of other apps that are really very savvy on your mobile devices, your cell phone. Okay, one of the advantages, I think that the major advantage to OneDrive is that when I'm traveling around the world, as long as I can get into my email and my domain that's hooked up to all of the Microsoft OneDrive offerings, I have the ability to get to any of my files. Anywhere, anytime access, you back up and protect, and you can also share and collaborate. All right, we're getting ready to go live here to Microsoft 365.
Cynthia, while you were presenting, Regina said that she loved using forms.
Yes, yeah. Spend some time. One of our colleagues who is one of our leaders in online learning and using online apps, Ms. Alice Keeler. If you don't follow Alice, you will want to follow her. She has a lot of really great activities using, she says everything is a spreadsheet. The answer is always a spreadsheet, but now you can really take some of the functionality of spreadsheet, and that is, I said, it's more of a fancy spreadsheet engine, but it is called Forms. And what do you use Forms for? Give us type in some of the things that, or even take the mic. What are you using forms for? You know, certainly doing that pre-assessment before you teach a particular content or topic. You want to find out what the students know already, so you can do a pre-assessment. You can do formative assessment in between, in the middle of a unit, and get a, rather than a poll, you just send out a quick survey. Because it has the engine, okay, and because it has the same engine as Excel and does some very sophisticated calculations for you, it is very, very savvy for quizzes. And I don't have examples for you right now. I'm actually using, I'm using my learning management system, which is Blackboard, to do some of those automated features. Okay,
our guests are replying to your question. They are saying they use it for surveys and tests, quizzes, and formative assessments. So they were chatting.
Wonderful. I'm always so impressed at our colleagues around the world who have mastered the and command of English language. You know, I love, you know, formative and summative assessment. I'm not sure I think that's probably an anglicized word anyway. Just like nachos and tortillas are anglicized, but that is from the Spanish culture, yes? Yeah.
Our international colleagues typically can outclass us with their ability to speak in 2 languages or 3, yeah, and mastery of English in ways that surprise us.
Well, I really am enjoying everyone's input, because this is meant to be for beginners, not for power users, which sounds like our friends from Croatia really know it very well. Maybe you'll pick up a tip or trick or 2, I don't know. Okay, so here is new upload. Here is our sync, and that really is one of our beautiful attributes of using this system. And then there are some functions and features that can be automated. I have a variety. Let me go back one more step here. Let me launch into my server here. Okay, so we have a single sign-on system, and we have this little icon for Microsoft Office 365 and OneDrive. It's called a chiclet. We also have a gum in the United States called chiclet, just a little trivia piece. And so I'm clicking on that icon, and that in turn will launch me into the OneDrive. And the OneDrive has shared libraries. I can also access by going into recent, and these are all folders, as you can see. And I wanted to look at, we just are launching a social and emotional learning Masters of Arts degree. And so a lot of my documents that I've been creating with teams, with my team, my collaborative team at the university, is they're all focused on social and emotional learning. So I'm just doing a little search on all of these different documents. Very extensive. I'm going to go in and look at one of these more deeply. And let's look at a rubric. And by the way, you can also develop a rubric using Microsoft Excel and actually have the points built in as a calculation. Nonetheless, this is a collaborative rubric that was built. It is measuring how to use an infographic. I'm just going to briefly go over some of the features. Just like any of your desktop applications, you have the ability to insert, and it's directly connected to Bing, and Bing is the search engine that also has the repository of searching for graphics. And one of the things I really like about Bing is that when you search Bing, it automatically goes through and gives you copyright information about the topic that you're looking at. So I'm going to look for emotion, and I teach all of my students to always have that checkbox on to make sure that you are only searching for Creative Commons licensing. That means those are free to be able to use and repurpose, and they don't the copyright is not held by an individual. And it's just a really great way to teach media literacy skills to your students. So I would go in and select that, but I won't because it doesn't go with my theme. Also, there are all of the same features and formatting tools available. You have the ability to open in my desktop app. So there's that interoperability between the cloud version and the desktop version. I can make it in an edit mode, and a reviewing mode, and a viewing mode. And then here is my great internal share button. And I love this because, once again, you know, working in a collaborative team when we're working on documents simultaneously, I could have up to 20 people working on this document, and I would be able to see them up in, their picture would be up in the bar at the top of the page. Okay, are any of you using OneNote?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us, give us examples of what you are compiling, what you're creating in the OneNote app.
I'll monitor the chat. There are 3 participants who've said they use OneNote.
Okay.
4. So tell us how. Yes, plans, lessons, library. One participant is going to learn how to use OneNote right now, Cynthia.
Okay. All right, I'm opening up my OneNote file. I hope everyone can see it because it's a separate window. Please give me a thumbs up if you can see it.
I see it.
One of the strategies that higher education institutions are really focusing on most recently is we want to give our students, our applicants, our students who are enrolled a purpose, and helping make those explicit connections to jobs to be employable. And one of the best ways to do that is we have something called an individual learning plan that makes connections to the fields, the field that they're exploring, that looks at not only the literature and the research, but also looks at professional organizations. And Stephen and I have both been members of our organization, Q, which used to be called Computer Using Educators. And I don't know if you have a like group in Croatia, but participation in this organization has changed my life and has changed my trajectory of how I work in the field of educational technology. So this is a specific document that I'm working on collaboratively with our full-time faculty who are all contributing to it. And it is social and emotionally centered professional organizations. This is a OneNote binder that's a resource guide for anyone looking at SEL grounded organizations. And there's so many because the topic is so encompassing. This is looking at the area of social justice. And we have the teaching channel, which is a .com company but they have many free resources for about every topic from A to Z. NEA, which is our National Education Association, they are a .org, an organization, and they have a whole bunch of plans for social justice. Another category, and each of these are tabs, just like a binder, just like you would have a physical binder. So since we don't have a lot of physical binders being sent back and forth in the snail mail in the post office, this is a great way for you to build curriculum, lessons, and any kind of a collection of material that are focused on a particular topic. You can have one by grade level, you can have one by unit, or it could be a concept in mathematics. It could be an entire textbook that you've translated and taken and you've subdivided it into categories. So I'm just sharing with you. This is right now. It's basically just a bunch of links. There are some tools where you can go in and you can do an audio recording and give prompted directions. But this is a work in process, and I wanted to be able to share it with you. The feature of being able to use a screenshot as well as a file and embed a file. This is a mindfulness video about how having mindfulness significantly reduces anxiety after 20 minutes of meditation practice. So we have
Cynthia, let me interrupt for a moment.
Go ahead.
I realize now that what we are seeing is OneNote in your account, but there's a dialog box that says resume editing here. So when you started to reference specific things in the document, I went, wait, I can't see those things.
Okay, so let me see.
So did it open in a separate window?
Yes, it did. And let me get there. Oh, my apologies.
Sorry, I wasn't fast enough to catch.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Can everyone see this Mindfulness Center?
Mm-mm.
Not yet.
I see. We see social and emotional centered professional, and it's like looking at your OneNote Drive, but then there's this dialog box that says that asking if you want to continue editing. There's Mindfulness Center.
Okay. And thank you so much, because I can't always, Teams works so that there's a red box around your featured piece, but sometimes it have a window on top of a window. So my apologies. Thank you for pointing that out to me. So this is mindfulness, and this is just, we're getting into the flow of, we have about 10 more minutes that we're going to launch into using Sway. But I did at least want to show you the interoperable, or the features in OneNote that are, most of these features are available in most all of the applications, where you have the ability to do an audio recording, so you can take your content and you can record right on top of it. I'm going to go ahead and just do a recording real quick. I'm going to allow this, yes. Okay, so the recording is started. This is a video on the importance of mindfulness in terms of working with meditation, and how meditation has some very substantial results in how to calm the body and reduce anxiety. And this video will show you what the brain looks like when you are involved in meditation. Okay, so there's the audio file. I'm going to play it. Okay, so the recording is started. This is a video on the importance of okay, so what a great tool. And certainly there are a lot of new features that are in Microsoft Office or Office 365. The whole ability to do translation and to have real-time immersion into looking at text and how that text is visualized. But this particular feature, I think, is very great for your language learners. If they are speaking other languages other than your primary language, you can record, or they could even record their voice and explain what's happening after they've watched the video. So it could be very, very interactive. Any questions?
There's a comment.
Okay.
Natasha states, there are very small classes in my school and teachers often talk to students individually. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like an ideal teaching learning environment.
Oh, yes. Great. And now, since, and this is a great way to annotate as well. So if you, and this is across the board in many of the Office, many of the 365 apps, is that you have the ability to annotate with comments via voice. So just don't forget that feature is available, and especially with us not having the benefit of being face-to-face as much now, it's a great way to give feedback to students. All right, are you ready to be swayed?
I learned sway yesterday for my presentation.
Yes. All right, so let me make sure that you can see this.
We see it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, just want to make a couple of comments about the interface and how it is much different than maybe other slideshow presentation tools that you have. And that is that there are two modes here. The storyline mode, which will have the ability to go in and look at each of these cards. They use the container as the card. And then it's not to be confused with Articulate Storyline, which is a very expensive instructional design tool. But they're using it as a way for you to understand how the pieces fit it as a story. So you can see that there is a plus sign where you insert the content, and their image cards. Image cards is what they use. Then you can switch over to the design mode. And the design mode, I actually uploaded a PDF document that is very, very busy because it pulled out the text and then overlaid a graphic on top of that. And I don't like this design, but I did want to show you how easily, if you have a PDF, a document, a .docx, or any other document or graphic, and you want to bring it in, if it's a screen capture, it goes in very, very beautifully and sets things up for you. The design feature, you'll be able to look at styles, and there are so many styles that you can apply to, that's one of the rich features of Sway, is that you don't have to worry so much about being a design expert, because it pops in all these different styles, which is really nice. So I'm going to go back to the storyline, and I'm actually going to, and let's see what it plays, because I just kind of did some gobbledygook here, and just I can share that. Here's the link. I can invite people to view or invite people to edit. I can get the embed code, so I can embed it into a blog, which would be a great way to share the information. And like other slide programs, I can have the continuous loop. I can set it for animations, but I like the simplicity of Sway. And let me go back one here. And we're going to build one together on the fly, and I'd like to leave some time for questions and comments and contributions. But let's go ahead and create from a new document. What I had done previously that I showed you is starting from a very heavy research article, like a 40-page research article that had some graphics, and that's not really a good way. It's like, oh, I don't want to have research. I want to have more readable chunks of information. So I'm going to create from new. And you can see that what pops up, and everyone can see this, yes. What pops up is very nice compartments, sections, where you have the title of your sway, and the title of the sway is going to be Microsoft 365. I can, with the plus sign, I can add text, images, videos, and more. So the plus is like that all encompassing, you know, you have the ability to do your headings, you can change the text, you can look for the media, you can upload, embed, you can also look for audio, you can record audio from this feature. So it's very simple to be able to do audio overlay or audio narration. I demonstrated the audio or the record feature before, but you can see it's very simple. The universal symbol of the microphone, the old-fashioned microphone, and then there's some additional features that you can take a look at there. And I'm going to go ahead and trash that. Okay, so Microsoft 365, let's see, can do a little accent, do a little emphasis. Now I'm choosing the background. Once again, it is so robust of a selection. So if you wanted to do an in-service or a training on using Microsoft Office, you have all these great, once again, this is interfacing with Bing. You have the ability to move your, drop and drag your images. You can change them interchangeably. Just by the click of a button, you can add a video. So let's see what we've built so far. And right now I have it so that it's scrolling. I don't have any music added to it. But that might be one way to add excitement. The icon on the bottom launches me back into that mode. And now I'm back in the original. So the cards are going to flow through, and you know, it's just very drag and drop featured. It's rather than having to go up to a menu bar and use insert, many of these features are built in just by the click of the white plus sign. You can, by the way, I didn't know, you know, in the Microsoft community, you can search for projects that have been shared by other educators. You can find a lot of pre-made OneNote binders, if you want to call them a binder. You can look at many of the sways that have been created for specific grade levels and subject areas. And how many of you have joined the Microsoft community?
one
Okay.
one person.
Make sure
Two,
you do that, because not only, and they're probably going to call it something else, I don't know, but there's so many services like using the Microsoft, using Skype in the classroom and mystery Skype, and registering for, you know, these international pen pals, these connecting with other classrooms around the world. But there is a repository, and there are also experts, Microsoft Innovative Educators, who will share the work that they have created and compiled with you. So you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. Get in the habit of working in a collaborative community worldwide and taking what others have done and repurposing it for your needs. It's 11:50, and I believe we were asked to give 10 minutes for questions and specific, just some chit chat and ways that we can encourage collaboration. Yes, yes, Artie. Yeah. Stephen answered your question. You can copy the embed code for the whole SWAY so you can paste it into another document. Absolutely. And that's what we talk about, interoperability. A lot of these tools that are in a cloud format are allowing you not only to generate embed code, but also to generate QR code. If you notice that Microsoft Teams automatically generates a code that can be used for an external device, a mobile device, a cell phone, etc. You're welcome.
The challenge with embed codes, as I've learned, is you can get the embed code from the object or the software you're working with, but you have to know what to do with it when you get to the destination location. And that isn't always clear how easy or difficult that might be.
Exactly. And many times, and Artie probably knows this, you have to find out where the HTML design feature, the button, the toggle that you can change it from regular text to a to HTML5, or even sometimes they'll, and Stephen, you know this better than I, sometimes it's you launch the application in a creative suite mode.
Yes.
So you just have to find that the programming, the back end programming of how they want you to include embed code.
But that isn't to mislead anyone. SWAY is very easy to use if you can live within the parameters of its simplicity.
You can join Q. It is free. And here is the URL, q.org/join. Depending upon whether you are in higher education or you are K-12 education, if you're a multimedia educator, we have many professional learning networks, formerly known as SIG, special interest groups, but we are professional learning networks, and it is open to everyone. It is free. There's a free version and there's a premium version that allows you to attend a lot of sessions online or at a reduced cost. One thing before we close, if you would like to put in one word or a few words that is your favorite feature of Microsoft 365 and or OneDrive, we'd appreciate your input. your favorite feature.
And while they're doing that, is there a URL for the slide presentation? Because the Academy only gives the session recording, but not the presentation itself.
I don't have that accessible handy right now, sorry. But
they
you can actually, I'm going to go ahead and upload it on my website, which is tinyurl.com/Cynthia-Chandler.
Great. So
and
they
I'll
can
have
access
a
it
whole
from your
section
website.
on Microsoft there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing that Sway is popular. They like hearing about forms.
Yes.
And Lydia writes about OneNote and the free storage on the cloud.
Yes, the storage is awesome. So many people, so many of my colleagues in the US are buying, you know, for many years, we're buying extra storage into Dropbox. And if you have OneDrive, you shouldn't have to do that. Yeah, Yammer is a real interesting interface. Some people are using WhatsApp, Voxer, a lot of these networks that allow like one channel to talk. Yammer is, as I said, our institution is moving from Yammer. Yammer really is managed by our library department. So any kind of asset that comes in, and we have huge digital assets, but our institution has moved over to Microsoft Teams for chat and for internal communication using the web feature. So, yes. All right. Well, it was great to meet you all. I wish we would have more time together. Thank you so much for your participation and your contributions. This was not deep, but it was a tour. So I'm glad you were here on this tour with me and hope to visit your countries sometime soon. And keep connected in our Microsoft community. And feel free to join Q. We invite you.
It's awesome. Just picking up on thank yous in the chat.
I've never been there before. I have a colleague who's from Croatia.
She's appealing to our sunny-sided nature here in California by enticing us with the sunshine of Croatia.
Mm-hmm. The closest I've been to Croatia is the Czech Republic. Mm-hmm.
It looks like Regina is teaching us Croatian. I believe she is saying goodbye in Croatia with Hvala.
We'll find out.
She says yes.
Okay. Now they don't have the translation in the immersive text in this like they do Flipgrid or the other app, and I forgot to show that. Doggone it. Oh yes, yes.
Oh, it's thank you.
Yeah.
That's goodbye.
Yes, yes. Yes, we're learning a lot about Wakelet in the US. Yes.
Violetta's getting jealous that we haven't said we're going to go to Macedonia too.
Yes. There's actually my dad lives 1 mile from Macedonia, Ohio.
That's close.
I've been to Macedonia, Ohio. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, my dear colleague, Stephen. I appreciate
Glad
you
to be
so
here with
much.
you.
Love collaborating with you. And for those of you who are listening online, don't forget to join Q and join us if you are higher education, either a teacher candidate or you are an acting professor. We're a great group to collectively collaborate with. We're writing together, we're presenting together, and we ask you to join our party. Thank you. Bye now.
Awesome. Have a great day.